Well, today we're going to talk about where to live when moving to Atlanta. And after literally living here in all stages of my life, from traveling here, I was born and raised in Augusta, Georgia, about 2 hours east. We came to Atlanta every weekend. I played competitive club soccer at the state and regional level, so I was always in Atlanta. I've played at every soccer complex in the entire city. Then went to Georgia State University, lived in the city, played soccer there, graduated, moved out to Marietta, moved back into the city in my 20s, got married, had babies, lived in the suburbs, like right on the edge of the perimeter, and have moved even further out now into the northern metro suburbs. And so it's from that perspective that, that on top of the fact that, our real estate team helps people all over the city and all over the state of Georgia. And I've done vlogs in most of the suburbs and cities. So it's safe to say I know a little bit about Atlanta, and my goal is to empower you, to give you some insights just from my perspective, just casually here, have a conversation. That way, maybe you can, like I said, get some insights, more importantly, like narrow down your search so that from a lifestyle perspective, it's not just about sticks and bricks, right? It's not just about the houses. From a lifestyle perspective, you land in the right place. And so that's my goal. Hopefully I can help you do that. And we're going to get after it right now. Hey, listen, if this is your first time to the channel and you want to know everything there is to know about eating, sleeping, working, playing, the good and the bad of living in Atlanta, Georgia, well then subscribe below, tap that bell for notifications. That way you know when we release new videos, when we update the market, because our goal is to make sure that we empower and equip you with all the information and resources that you need. The team and I, we get calls each and every day from people just like you looking for help in making the move to Atlanta, Georgia. This channel is all about making the move to Atlanta, Georgia, and we absolutely love it. So whether you're moving next week or next year or any time in between, give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email, schedule a Zoom, maybe send a pigeon carrier if you need to. But we would be happy to help you make a smooth move to Atlanta. So like I mentioned in this video, I just kind of want to talk to you about, what it's like in all the different areas. And hey, listen, when it comes to being a realtor and fair housing, like I love everybody. As a Jesus follower, I'm called to love everyone, in whether you believe in God or not, or Jesus, or that's none of my business either. And whether you're white, black, brown, gay, straight, married, single, family, kids, no kids, like all that stuff will help anybody find the perfect home for them. And that's really what the video is all about, is to kind of give you a perspective of like what the different culture, lifestyle, feel is like in different areas of Atlanta, so you land in a place that you love. And so it's from that lens, as I mentioned, I grew up playing soccer, highly competitive, all over the state, all over the country, and even internationally. And so, but I've been all in every nook and cranny of Georgia and Atlanta for a long time. And so as a young man, as a teenager, going to Georgia State University and playing soccer down there, right now it's where the Olympics were in 1996. The Olympics had just finished up and all the Olympic athletes moved out, and I moved in with the rest of the students and most of the student athletes. That dorm room is now owned by Georgia Tech, because it was actually right next to Bobby Dodd Stadium in the Georgia Tech campus. Georgia State has since expanded their campus rapidly. Georgia State is in downtown Atlanta, and it's huge. They took over the old Braves Stadium, and that's now their football stadium. And so the reason I say that is because that vibe in town, I did that in college, and then kind of moved out to Marietta, one of the suburbs we're going to talk about, and then I moved back in and lived there throughout my 20s. And so the in-town vibe is very much diverse. You'll get a lot of wealth, you'll get poverty, you'll get homelessness, you'll get crime, you'll get affluent neighborhoods, you'll get poor neighborhoods. Like literally one block to the other could be a completely different experience. And it's changed so much in the last 20 to 30 years, and I've watched it firsthand. And so you kind of have to be okay with that like urban vibe where, it's not necessarily safe to walk at night with your, especially as a female, but it doesn't matter if male, female, but with your family or with your kid and that kind of stuff. You definitely want to be conscious of where you're going and when you're going, and that's kind of that in-town urban feel. Now you'll have the downtown area that's got all of the, skyscrapers, and you'll have a little bit of residential, but that's mostly commercial and business. But around that area, you'll have all of those really old in-town neighborhoods. You're talking about 50s and 60s brick ranches. Some of them are, crack houses, and some of them have been fully renovated. You'll have the prices have gone up so much in the last couple of years. My partner, Peter Pasternak, was the lead character on A&E's Flip This House for Atlanta, and he and I have been friends and partners for over a decade now and flipped hundreds of homes all through these neighborhoods. So if you go back and check out Flip This House Atlanta edition, you'll see what I'm talking about. You'll have, back then we could buy a house for 50 grand. Right now that same house is probably $200,000. Dilapidated. You fix it up and you'll have, a $200,000 house next to a $2 million house and everywhere in between. And that's in-town living. So you're talking like Cabbagetown, Reynoldstown, Inman Park, Kirkwood, East Atlanta, Summerhill, Pittsburgh, that's 30310, I think. Anyway, these are all like little neighborhoods in town. And then a lot of the ones that I just named have been regentrified a lot and have grown a lot and have been developed a lot. But then if you jump over to where like Mercedes-Benz Stadium and the State Farm Arena and Hawks, like that whole area, that's still kind of in the early stages, and it's pretty rough in that area. But these transitional neighborhoods, that's where a lot of investors are flipping houses and a lot of money is coming into that area. What really started it is in Cabbagetown, there's a bridge. It's called the Krog Street Bridge, and it's got graffiti all over it. They just, I think the cops at one point many years ago just threw their hands up and left it. It's down where like the Martin Luther King Museum and Center is, Old Fourth Ward. You can look that up. But in that area, in the Krog Street Bridge, they started this thing. There's a Krog Street Market, and it's one of those like shops and retail and restaurants. And they started this thing in Atlanta called the Beltline. And now the Beltline is still being developed, but it goes all the way around like the city of Atlanta. It's walking, biking, running. You even see the birds, the scooters, and that kind of stuff out there. But you probably, I don't think there's any hiking, but it's an urban Beltline walkway run, and it goes from all the way around Atlanta in a bunch of different neighborhoods, a bunch of different areas. It's still just in the process. It's probably only been 10 years, maybe a little bit more since it started, but all of the retail and all of the neighborhoods are just blowing up around this. And so that's like that in-town vibe. One of my favorite restaurants, by the way, best pancakes in the world, is called Ria's Bluebird. It's right there in town. And then from the Krog Street, from that belt line, it goes up and it hits this area called Ponce City Market, which was an old warehouse, an old Sears warehouse, and it has been completely developed, and it is probably some of the most expensive commercial real estate in all of Atlanta. And it's just it's a really great conversion, rebirth of this warehouse. Everything around it is being redeveloped. The kind of in-town, mid-town, it's probably mid-town is what I would consider it. That whole area was very, probably 20 years ago or more, it was mostly gay, like that area was. But something about the gay community, when they come into an area that's transitional, they make it beautiful, and then everybody else wants to live there. And so that really has happened in Midtown. It is very much, again, you'll find families, you'll find young professionals, you'll find homeless people, you'll find affluent and wealthy. You'll find that all over the downtown, midtown area now. But for a long time, you didn't see families or a lot of affluent people staying in that city center like they are now and have been moving back into for the last couple of years. So Ponce City Market's an area that has been really regentrified and blowing up and growing a lot. And then you have the Virginia Highlands, which is larger, old homes, very affluent and an expensive place. You're probably not going to find a lot of really first-time home buyers moving to these homes because it's getting really expensive to live in town. But unless it's like an older home that hasn't been updated, renovated, you'll find a mixture of like super old original shape, super old completely renovated, knock down, brand new, modern, contemporary, like you'll find all of that in Virginia Highlands and Inman Park and in town. And so that's kind of the Virginia Highlands area. All along the Beltline, by the way, you're gonna find restaurants and bars and coffee shops and apartment complexes and things. And we'll do a whole different video on apartment complexes, but you'll find the Beltline is one of my favorite places. But you never know what you're gonna see down there. Skate parks and all kinds of stuff. But so that's the Virginia Highlands. And then over in Decatur, that's where you'll find like Emory, which is one of the top, schools in the country and grad schools in the country. And here in Atlanta, you have Georgia State, Georgia Tech, Emory, and then in the burbs up northwest, you have Kennesaw State University. And those are the big main ones that come to my mind. Morehouse, right off the top of my head. And then over in Athens, you have the University of Georgia, which is about an hour from Atlanta. And so in that Decatur area, you'll have, it's kind of like that midtown vibe where you're gonna get a lot of those 1950s and 60s brick ranches. You're gonna get old, you're gonna get renovated, you're gonna get new, when they're knocked down, you're gonna get new construction, you're gonna get all of that stuff. And the values have really exploded in that Decatur area as well. And that's inside of, all of this I'm talking about is like in the city, inside of this perimeter around Atlanta that we call 285. And I'm gonna work my way out to the burbs because, well, that's where I live, is in the suburbs. But there's another area in kind of the in-town, it's called Buckhead. And that's where you have a lot of wealth, a lot of affluence. It's like downtown from the skyscrapers, then the skyscrapers hit Midtown. Now the skyscrapers have hit Buckhead. When 20 years ago when I first got out of, it's been more than 20 years since I've been out of college, but I was working in financial services there in Buckhead, and the Atlanta Financial Center, which is maybe 10 stories high, was the biggest building there. Maybe not the biggest, but it was like one of the 3 big buildings. And now you're just like, residential and commercial towers all over Buckhead. And they have this area that they've really turned into like Rodeo Drive. I mean, you have Phipps Plaza, which is a big mall right across the street from Lenox Mall. And both of those malls have the highest in, whether you're talking about Louis Vuitton or Cartier or, all the different high-end luxury, whether it's accessories or clothes or jewelry or watches, all that stuff is inside Lenox Mall and Phipps Mall. But just a few blocks up, you have this kind of Rodeo Drive-esque outdoor shopping area with, great brands and boutiques and coffee shops. And all around Buckhead, you're gonna find, high-end restaurants. That Buckhead area, and you're talking like there's a million peach trees in Atlanta, by the way, but you're talking about like Peachtree and Piedmont, that area, and then the residential, the homes around Buckhead, you're gonna get everything's gonna be more expensive. Like you're gonna get some, regular, average, everyday residential homes, the same thing. You're gonna get those old 50s and 60s style homes, but you're also gonna get lots of new stuff as well and everything in between. I should have done a report, but a starter home in Buckhead is gonna be at least $500,000 to $1 million, and then the sky's the limit above that. Actually, a lot of people, to get out of that kind of hustle and bustle of Buckhead, went a little bit further north to an area called Brookhaven, and the real estate has just exploded around Brookhaven. They have their own, restaurants and bars and local stuff going on, but really Brookhaven blew up because of its proximity to Buckhead. You could go to Brookhaven and have more like of a mini suburban kind of a lifestyle and feel, but the values in there are crazy too. And so you've got that Buckhead, Brookhaven, that's inside that perimeter. When you go a little bit further, now further south of Atlanta, inside of the perimeter, the airport's on the southwest side, not to jump to that's way southwest. And then out east, you have like Covington. I'm not gonna talk too much about it, but right outside of the perimeter, east on I-20, that goes to Augusta, Georgia, and Rivina, I think R-I-V-I-N-A, it's an electric vehicle company, just announced that they're building a plant there. 7,500 jobs are coming to Atlanta, and they're gonna be in the Social Circle, Georgia, Social Circle area. But it's like Covington, Madison, Monroe, like in that little triangle. Facebook has a big data center there too. So that area it's probably like a little hidden gem. It's going to appreciate a lot in values, and there's gonna be a lot more demand in that little area. But as it stands today, like I don't know a ton of people who it's definitely not an area that's like a top suburb. Everyone's like, yeah, I'm going to Social Circle, Georgia, or I'm moving to Monroe. Like that's probably not the vibe where most people are wanting to go, a top suburb, but it's gonna grow because there's a lot of jobs going right here. So that's over on the east side. Decatur is kind of like northeast that we talked about. And so then you have the perimeter, and off to the west, that goes to Augusta to the east. Probably doesn't make sense when I'm looking at you because the video is probably backwards, but east is to Augusta, west is to Birmingham, Alabama on I-20, and right outside of 285 you have like Douglasville on the west side. And by the way, I'm saving the best for last. All the best suburbs, all the best information, all the places where you're probably you're probably gonna wanna live is gonna be on the northern suburbs. That's where most of them are at. And I'm gonna talk about those individually. But out on the west side, you have like Douglasville and Hiram, kind of Dallas, that's off west towards Birmingham. And you're gonna get a lot more land, a lot more value, a lot more bang for your buck, a lot of new construction, but it's not as well developed. And the Six Flags is out that direction. I'm not saying it's not desirable, especially if you're going to work in Marietta, Dobbins Air Force Base. If you're going to work in Marietta or in the city and you're looking for a value, like that west side's probably a good area to look at, but it's not considered like one of the top suburbs in Atlanta. And then on the south side, really the main areas to talk about, the best areas on the south side if you're looking for a suburban life, like good schools, close proximity to the city, into the airport. If you fly in and out a lot, almost all of Delta's headquartered here. They all live in Peachtree City. We call it Delta City. And Peachtree City, Sonoya, Tyrone, Noonan, that's one of the top suburbs. Noonan's probably got 30, 40,000 people. Peachtree City's probably similar. Noonan's got like an old downtown area, but it's not super developed like the northern suburbs I'm going to talk about in a minute. But you can, you're close proximity to gas stations and grocery stores, but it's very rural. Noonan is like you have this little downtown area, like a nice little old historic square, but outside of that, not a lot going on in Noonan. But if you want a slower pace, if you want a lot of land, if you want a relaxed atmosphere, well, listen, one of the things I love about Georgia, and I'm going to do an entire video on just things I love about it, is that there is something for everybody. Whether you want urban, whether you want rural, you want country, you want city, you want whatever you want. You want affluent, you want low key, everyththing's here. And Noonan's probably more rural, more country, more laid back, more slower. Us Southerners, we talk real slow. So Peachtree City, though, we call it Delta City because a ton of Delta employees and pilots and they're in that area because it's got close proximity to get up to the airport, and they have a 100-mile golf cart path, a cart path that runs all through the city. So you can literally live your entire life on a golf cart. It's probably not, lots of places in Atlanta aren't walkable, but you could literally golf cart all over Peachtree City. And so if that sounds appealing to you, to be able to live, work, and play on your golf cart, you absolutely have to look at Peachtree City. And it's more like you're gonna find the old stuff and you can get some land and you can get away, but if you're in close to like the center of Peachtree City, it's really more like a outdoor mall. I think it's called the Avenue, but this guy's gonna have all the shops and retail and restaurants and bars, and that's where people, that's where the traffic's bad in Peachtree City, and that's where everyone congregates. But you can avoid the traffic just by taking your golf cart everywhere. So everything's set up for this 100-mile golf cart trail path, whatever you call it. So that's down there on the south side. Now I'll get to the main event. Inside of 285, we call that ITP, inside the perimeter. Outside of 285, which is the interstate around it, we call that OTP, or outside the perimeter. I-20 goes east and west to Birmingham and east to Augusta. And then Interstate 75-85, it comes together on the south side, goes straight through the city, and then it splits and goes northwest and northeast. And if you go up 75, you end up in Nashville. If you go up 85, you end up in Nashville, Tennessee. If you go up 85, you end up in Greenville, South Carolina, if any of that helps. In Augusta is the Masters, the golf tournament. So I would highly recommend, even if you don't like golf, that you check that out. And I have an Augusta vlog if you want to check that out, along with Evans, Grovetown, and all those suburbs. But on the north side of Atlanta, just inside of that perimeter, you have Sandy Springs. And then Sandy Springs is just outside of the perimeter, and Dunwoody is right next to it. So Chamblee, Dunwoody, Sandy Springs, and then over to Chamblee is like 85, 75, and I left out 400. Highway 400 goes straight up the middle. So when 75, 85 split, 400 goes straight up. I live up there. So hint, hint, this is a good place to live. But up 75, right inside the perimeter, you have Vinings. Now, the interesting thing about Vinings is in Cobb County. Most of Atlanta is in Fulton County. Fulton County is long and skinny, so it goes from South Atlanta with the airport all the way up to Alpharetta, which is northern metro. And so it's really long and skinny. Vinings is inside of the perimeter and in Cobb County, so you get city living with Cobb County taxes. And Cobb County taxes are lower than Fulton County taxes. So there's a little fun fact. Right outside, and Vinings is like this hip, young, professional. You actually get retirees there because Cobb County has some tax breaks and benefits for retirees. So you'll get people that want to be in the city and they're getting away from the Fulton County taxes, but they still want that city feel, and they're jumping in that little sliver of Vinings. Right outside of the perimeter, you have Smyrna. In Smyrna, you'll get some new construction. Again, same thing as a lot of these cities were established in like the 1800s around Atlanta. So a lot of the development as it grew was in the 50s and 60s, where they put up all these little brick ranch houses that investors love to flip, myself included. Where you're buying an old 1950, 1960s brick ranch, you're gutting it, you're putting a gorgeous home. It's a new home in an old shell is essentially what it is. And you'll see a lot of that going on in the Smyrna area as well, all over Atlanta. But Smyrna is in Cobb County. The Braves Stadium that I talked about earlier moved from in the city to that to Cobb County. And so it's called Truist Park, and it's this big $650 million development called the Battery. And so, I mean, shops, restaurants, commercial, residential, retail, boutiques, all that stuff is going to be in the Battery. That area gets mobbed with traffic. And there's multiple, like Cumberland Mall is in that area. So you have Smyrna and kind of East Cobb, Marietta. That's all right in that 75, 285 corridor. And then up 75, you hit Marietta. Marietta is one of the top suburbs in Atlanta. Arguably the top suburb in Atlanta. Dobbins Air Force Base is right there. So if you're relocating to Dobbins, you might want to check out Dallas or Hiram, or you'll be in Marietta. If you go East Cobb is also in Marietta. That's a very affluent area, and some people affectionately call them, like East Cobb snobs. But if you have a child or you're into baseball, and it's not lost on me that the Braves moved to Cobb County and they just won the World Series. But if you have a child that plays baseball, East Cobb is some of the best youth baseball in the world. So that is definitely something you need to check out if that's important to you. And then they're up 75 further, you hit Kennesaw, where Kennesaw State University is. But typically the further out you go, the more affordable homes get. Now that is a little deceptive, because anytime you get close to a city center, this center of a suburb, like Marietta, close to the Marietta Square, which is a historic square, kind of like Noonan, but Marietta's 10 times as big, probably 15 times as big. It's populated, and there's some huge employers, and it's well developed, and it's right close to the city. And from Marietta, Kennesaw kind of has they're trying to create that vibe, but less so than a lot of the other suburbs. When you get past Kennesaw, you hit Woodstock. Woodstock has an amazing downtown area where you could live, work, play, walk. You get some high-end restaurants and retail and coffee shops and homes and all that stuff in like downtown Woodstock. Or you can drive a few miles away and you can have 100 acres and be on a farm. So Woodstock's kind of all of that. And then Canton's above Woodstock. It's even more kind of rural and remote. But Canton has a great little, downtown vibe thing that's starting to develop too. But Woodstock is one of the top suburbs for sure on the list if you want. Cobb County has great schools, by the way. I kind of skipped over that. Woodstock is in Cherokee County. Again, very low taxes, but Cobb County has some of the best schools in the country. Walton High School is one of them, and I think it's like the 13th ranked charter school in the entire country, but lots of really great schools in Cobb County, low taxes, lots of benefits. So that's Woodstock is just beyond that. Kennesaw's in Cobb, and Woodstock's in Cherokee County. And so that's kind of up that northwest corridor. Again, now I'm going to go northeast, and then I'm going to take you up 400 and save the best for last. So that's Smyrna, Vinings, East Cobb, Marietta, Kennesaw, Woodstock, up that northwest corridor towards Nashville. Northeast towards Greenville, you have Tucker and Lawrenceville, which are right outside of the perimeter of 285. And that is like really starting to come back alive, but you're going to have lower property values, higher taxes. Gwinnett County has some high taxes, and they're getting over into that Fulton, and that turns into Gwinnett County up that corridor. Schools are going to be hit or miss. It's going to be less affluent, more diverse. I'd say, up. I'm trying to think about how. That Marietta Kennesaw corridor is not quite as diverse as like a Lawrenceville, Tucker, and that whole area. But then as you get past that, you get up into Gainesville and towards Athens, and so Suwanee, Duluth is up that way. Duluth has a really, really great downtown developed vibe too. If I could just roll through on. I haven't talked about the ones in the middle, which are like Roswell and Alpharetta and Cumming, but those along with Marietta, Kennesaw, really Woodstock, Duluth, Sugar Hill.
Sorry, could you say that again?
No, Siri, I'm not talking to you. They all have really cool like downtown areas, but I really like Duluth's, and you'll find a lot of the even national chains, but more like local restaurants and breweries and coffee shops that are in all of those downtown areas. Pure Taqueria is one of my favorite ones. Truck and Tap has a bunch of beers on tap and always a different food truck out back. I talked about Pure Taqueria. Maple Street Biscuit is one that's around there. Valor Coffee. There's a lot of them that, if it works in one little downtown area, it works in all of them. So they pop around there. But up that east corridor, you have Duluth, Suwanee, Peachtree Corners. All of those are going to have all kinds of shops and retail, and again, mostly good schools. Not all of them. You'll have to do your due diligence. Greatschools.org is a good place to do due diligence. My other suburb vlog tours are a great place to do due diligence. And then you'll get some more affordable property values in that area too. So really, really, in my humble opinion, and this is my opinion, you may want the in-town urban feel. Sorry for coughing on you or clearing my throat. You may, if in-town urban feel is your thing, it was mine. I went to college there. I moved out to Marietta. I moved back in town. I got a swanky loft condo conversion, when in the mid 2000s. I was in financial services. I was, I met my wife 14 years ago. We started dating. It was like young and hip and fun and all those things. Well, fast forward 14 years later, we have 4 children, 8, 6, 5, and 3, 2 girls, 2 boys. Actually sounds like they're walking in, so they may invade my video any second, which is fine if they do, but those things became more important. So we want a lifestyle where we have a larger house and larger lots and more land, amazing schools, but still close proximity to like a downtown area with shops and restaurants and retail and all that stuff. And so if that's what you're looking for, you're going to want to look up that 400 corridor. At the perimeter, you're going to get Sandy Springs. And Sandy Springs Incorporated became its own city, just like 2005 ish. and they did a public-private partnership, and so that area has really exploded, and you can see the vlog on that, with shops, restaurants, retail, coffee shops, lots of industry, lots of corporate headquarters, lots of jobs, like all of that you can find in Sandy Springs. But as you go up north of Sandy Springs, you'll hit Roswell. I've got vlogs on all these suburbs, I think I mentioned that, but you'll hit Roswell. Stand up, babe. She's like trying to sneak into the video without actually interrupting, but if she's sitting here, I'm gonna know she's there, so she's gonna be a distraction. But I thought, hey, why don't I just introduce, this is my oldest, Cooper. Hi. Hey, babe, do me a favor, give me a few minutes and let me finish this, okay? Give me a kiss. Thanks, babe. My office is open to the house, which is fine when everyone's gone, but when everyone comes home, it's not. So right above Sandy Springs, you hit Roswell. Roswell has an amazing, historic, old downtown area that's been renovated. There's shops and bars and restaurants and boutiques. There's residential all around that. The schools are pretty good in most of Roswell, and that's both on the east and west side of 400, which goes straight up. You're going to have lots of outdoor activities, lots of sports and recreation, lots of entertainment. But Roswell's not like a job. Come here. Oh, this is the youngest. This is Hank. Hank, can you say hey?
Hi.
Boo Boo, can I finish my video? Give me a kiss. Mwah. Oh, that's number 3. Lincoln, hey bud. You want to say hey real quick?
Hi.
This is Lincoln. He scratched his nose. What happened to your nose, Bubba?
I scratched it.
Give me a kiss. Mwah. All right, let me finish this.
Bye.
I'm sure number 2 will come in here in a minute, but Roswell has mostly great schools, but you do want to just, if that's important to you, you do want to verify. But lots of outdoor parks, sports, recreation, entertainment. In Roswell, they do this thing called Alive in Roswell. It used to be called Live After 5, but throughout all of the warm months of the year, once a month, they shut down the entire downtown Canton Street. Remember that Canton Street area, and it's full of old, young, families, single, retired, all of it. Everybody descends on this downtown Roswell area. It is a ton of fun, and there are street vendors and food and beer and all the stuff that you could want to have a good time, music, all that stuff. There's some breweries in Roswell that are really good too. And so I love the Roswell area. I lead a men's group in Roswell. I don't live there, but I frequent there a lot. I am up and down 400 all the time. My office and partner is in Sandy Springs. My lender's corporate national headquarters is right in Sandy Springs. They're amazing. Their name's is EPM, Equity Prime Mortgage. But they're right there in that Sandy Springs area. My closing attorney's corporate office is in Sandy Springs. So I do a lot of work in that area. I lead a men's group in Roswell. And then Alpharetta Cumming is really like my stomping grounds where my family and I live, work, and play. So north of Roswell, you hit Alpharetta, and it's the number 1, in my opinion, number 1 suburb in all of Atlanta. Cumming is right behind it, and I think is probably the future, and I'll tell you why. If you keep going up 400, you'll very quickly hit the lake. I was showing property this morning, and literally it was an old house that needed some TLC, but I showed a property on the water with a dock. 2-bedroom, 1,200 square foot home for $275,000, and you had a dock and you can get a boat. You can knock it down and build a new house, and it'd be worth $1 million, $2 million. So that's in Cumming, but that's right north of Alpharetta. But in Alpharetta, you're going to get Avalon, which is like probably $1 billion development, multiple phases, boutique hotels, movie theaters, Santa Claus, skating rink, all that stuff's going on right now. Big Christmas tree lighting, all high-end retail, restaurants. You're going to get commercial, you're going to get residential, you're going to get all of it. We do a couple of staycations a year, my wife and I, at the Avalon Hotel. That has an Alpha Loop that connects it to downtown Alpharetta. Downtown Alpharetta in the last 5 years has exploded. Probably another $1 billion in development. Boutique hotels, again, high-end retail, boutiques, restaurants, It's so much fun. Like, I love that downtown Avalon, Alpha Loop area. There's another development going in called the Maxwell. I host a real estate networking event every month in this downtown area, and it is fire. I mean, like, it is so much fun. Whether you're a young professional, the tech sector is like a really big employer here in Alpharetta, and so home values have exploded too. Median home value is probably north of $500,000 at this point. Median income is probably $120,000, $130,000. So it's an affluent area, but you're going to get Asian, Indian, Caucasian. Like that's where you see a lot of that around Alpharetta, and some African American, probably in line with what would normally be the rest of the country's population. Whereas in the city of Atlanta, you're going to get a lot more urban and concentration, and a more diverse mix of Caucasian, African American, Asian, Indian. I don't know what the Asian and Indian population is, but there's a lot of Asian and Indian and Caucasian up in the Alpharetta area. And then when you go north now, if you're looking for a little bit better, hold on, before I get to that, in kind of the northern part of Alpharetta, you have Milton. Milton is gorgeous. Minimum lot sizes are gonna be an acre or more, and you're gonna get, it's like horse farms in areas, so it is an amazing area. If you're looking for more land, it's not cheap. The schools, best schools in the state, best youth sports in the state, lots of affluence, big estate homes, custom built homes, that kind of stuff. Like that's going on in the Alpharetta, and that kind of bleeds over into between Roswell and Alpharetta is an area called Crabapple that has I forgot about Crabapple. That has a really cool like downtown vibe area. I'm working on a mixed use development and putting in commercial spaces and apartments. In that area I really love. It's got a cool downtown kind of a vibe that they're developing in Crabapple. So, by the way, if you go west of Alpharetta, Crabapple, and Cumming, you kind of hit that Woodstock that I was talking about earlier. That's over to the west. If you go east, you're going to hit that Duluth area. So it's kind of sandwiched in between. But you go up north of Alpharetta and you're going to hit Cumming. And Cumming has some of the best schools, some of the highest paying jobs, some of the lowest cost of ownership. You can get brand new homes, you can get old homes, you can get a lot of land, you can live in a neighborhood. You get all those things all around Georgia. By the way, you're going to find a ton of great golf courses. So if that's your thing, you're going to find plenty of that, especially in the suburbs, more in the suburbs than in the city. But in Cumming, you're going to get great schools, you're going to get high-paying jobs, you're going to get real estate, good property values, you're going to get straight access down 400 into the city, and obviously during rush hour that's going to back up. It's probably 40 minutes to an hour to get into the city, depending on where you live. Cummings is in Forsyth County. Forsyth County is going to have lower taxes than a Fulton County, and then you have the lake, so you can actually live on the lake. And when you get past Cumming, you basically hit the mountains, the North Georgia mountains. So there's, in terms of proximity, if you like the mountains, if you like the outdoors, if you like the lake, if you like land, Cumming is like the best of both worlds, because you're going to get a nice home with a lot of value, a good paying job, close proximity to Alpharetta, close proximity to Atlanta, and you can get up and get away and get into the mountains or get up to the lake and do all that fun stuff too. So there's a lot to be, you should definitely check out Cumming. You should check out my vlog on the Cumming tour. So I kind of live, work, and play in the Cumming area. Our team covers all of the state of Georgia. So hopefully that was a good, did I mention the schools are great in Cumming? I think I did. But hopefully that's a good kind of round, gives you a lot of insights, help you narrow down like what area do I want to be looking at? Do I want to be on the north side, the south side, in the city, inside the perimeter, outside the perimeter, or northwest, northeast, all that stuff. If you have any questions whatsoever, give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email, schedule a Zoom. We'd be happy to help you make a smooth move to Atlanta. And until I see you here in the city, then hopefully I'll see you on the next episode.